78.6 FM Yomaton. This is Positive Vibes with Winsome. Welcome back. Welcome back. Man, as always, I always walking. I think the first thing I always say was it was a busy week, and I'm never complaining. So if you hear me say it was a busy week, just remember that busy for me is good because that means the week went by. It flew by. Things happened. We got a lot of things done, and I'm usually excited about having a busy week because that means things happen, right? If I say something like, oh, this week dragged or this week was tough, no. It's always, another busy week, made action happen, made beautiful things happen, met some wonderful people, made some new connections, new bonds, got a lot of new projects going. It was really a busy week, but in a good way. Welcome back. Saturday, it is beautiful outside. Let me look real quick to check myself. It is Saturday, February 6th, here in 78.6 FM. This is Positive Vibes, and I'm so happy that you're back with us. All good news, a couple of things that have happened and transpired. Let's see, today we did our first Air Force Wounded Warrior Wellness and Resiliency coaching session. We had the War Fitness team, right? So we that was really exciting, starting the day off with that. Woke up early just to make sure everything was set up. The team was all on the same page. So if you guys aren't tracking, the Air Force Wounded Warrior Wellness and Resiliency Team, that is actually, if you check out the page on Facebook, if you're military or prior military, you can jump in and become a member of that group. And forgive me if I sound funny. I got to wear my mask. So if you're not watching on the YouTube channel, then you'll hear me. I might sound a little muffled, but it's just because based on the precautions, I'm still wearing my mask. So I'm breathing through this cotton right now, right? But as we go back to it, man, so like I was saying, the segment 3 is always dedicated to the Air Force Wounded Warrior Wellness and Resiliency Team. Today we're going to be talking about some of the topics that came up today with the group, and I'll tell you how awesome that was and how rewarding it was to start my morning off with that motivation, man. And but also, first segment, YOLO. Heard it a couple of times this week. You only live once, blah, blah, blah. A few months back, I debunked that, and I'm going to do it again. Right, so let me start off by saying this. March 11th, 2020, I'm reading a newspaper, and I open it up, bam, and I see that millennials is what it says. Millennials are taking advantage of the cheap tickets, flying around because it's cheap. This is March 11th. I'll never forget this date. Notice I'm not looking away if you're watching on YouTube. 2020, and I'm like, come on, man. First thing in my mind is selfish. Right? Because when you do that, you're not taking into consideration who you come in contact with, young and old, when you come back. This is when the COVID pandemic was still taken as a joke, right? This week, I got a call from one of my mentors. This was Thursday, and this segment is dedicated to him. The call that I got, or should I say the text that I got, short notice, Winsome, just a heads up, my son, age of 53, passed away from COVID. For me, it was, I woke up to this, right? Because, the time difference. So my heart sank immediately. It's one of the worst things to wake up to, worst news. Because that is, by nature, my family as well. And it was really, truly kind of disturbing, right? To wake up to that, and broke my heart. Tried to make a phone call, but I know people are moving and trying to take care of arrangements, things of that nature. A few days before that, I found out my father had been in a hospital with COVID-like symptoms. And this is, of course, all in the United States. So, of course, my father's in Georgia. My mentor and his family, they are in Texas. So between the two states, this pandemic, this disease, this monster is still doing damage to a lot of people. So for me, it was very, last week I could have took it as, wow, right? In some people's perspective and some people's reaction to that type of news or that kind of news, it's negative, right? It mess your whole day up, drag. It's a pull on you. I decided to shift that energy. And I'm going to tell you what I did with this information, man. I didn't want it to weigh on me as bricks. I wanted to motivate me to do more. I wanted to use that energy, my father to be in the hospital. I know I can't go home right now, but I know I can call him. I know that I can get on WhatsApp and say, hey, Dad, I love you, thinking of you, be strong. Your strength is my strength is yours. Let's do this. You got this, right? These are the kinds of conversations I'm having with my father, who's on oxygen in a hospital, scared, right? I didn't bring that here with me to Okinawa. I said, okay, so I know I got to have some strength for him. So when I call back and reach back home, I'm being strong for him. And I'm not faking it for myself. I'm trying to find that strength inside me to be positive for him, right? So it's pulling something from myself. Now the news with my mentor, or one of my mentors, should I say, because I have a few. And I said, Mr. I ain't going to say his name, sir. I said, I love you. I love your family. Tell me what I can do. Tell me what you can need. Is there anything I can do to help from here? Because the reality of it is, and we've been through this before, all of us, right now, travel, movement, everything's so limited and difficult and layers to get anywhere and do anything, right? Or tests. It's a struggle. And then think about that. My mind went to here. If I did jump on that plane and rush back home for either situation, the travel getting there, what if I get contaminated, right, with this virus, or I get sick on the way there or on the way back? What if I get somebody else sick when I arrive? It's the little things like that, taking the consideration of others, which on March 11th, 2020, these young folks were saying, YOLO, you only live once. And the truth, in the debunk that, what I told you guys a few months back, it's not the fact that you only live once. No, we live every single day. And you've heard this quote before. You die once. You have an opportunity to live every single day, to write a new page every single day, but you die once. For the folks around here, it's not like BC Motors, right? I mentioned that. You can't just junk in that body. You got to go ahead and fight through certain things. Diseases, sicknesses, struggles, stress, anxieties. You only have one body, one mind, one heart, right? So you see individuals like that who, YOLO, they're inconsiderate of others. They're inconsiderate of what's happening around them or the realities of it haven't hit them yet. And that's exactly where we were. March 11th, 2020. And I was like, wow, I forgot about that. And you get those reminders when you start hearing about this was a 53-year-old healthy man that passed away from this disease, right? And you start thinking about that. My father is in his 70s now, right? Dang, I just aged myself. Don't tell nobody. My father. And then you have this young man's dad who's same age as my dad. And it's so scary to think about, but at the same time, I have to have faith. I have to be strong enough mentally to say, hey, you know what? I can only control, and listen to me, what's within my control. I can't protect everybody from everything. I can't protect my father from getting sick. I can help him by motivating him and giving him strength through my words and through whatever positive vibes he needs from me, but I can't change the fact that he got sick. And I can only hope that he has good doctors. This is my mindset. This is the mindset that I had to have. Because you know what? You choose how you respond to news. You choose how you switch it in your mind and in your heart and what you allow yourself to do. Sometimes it's hard and some things happen in your subconscious that you don't realize you're projecting. But you choose how you respond to the news that you receive. And it's based on your past, based on experiences, based on how you've handled situations before and how you adapt to different responses from the past. It's only what you know. What's that phrase you use? You only know what you know, right? You don't know what you don't know. So when it comes to situations, practice what you've experienced, your past experiences. These things come into play immediately when you get news like that. So you don't live once. You only die once. You live every single day. So when you wake up and when you get up and you put your 2 feet on the ground and you're looking around and you realize, for the folks here in Okinawa, that you're on this beautiful island. And I mentioned this in class when I was teaching this week, and I said, hey, when you're looking for the good, because negativity is always going to find you. That's the first thing looking for you in the morning, something negative, right? For the folks with kids, stepping on a Lego when you get out the bed, right? Opening up your phone and seeing some news. Normally, when I open up my phone, I don't never go to social media or news. I do see if any of my family texted or called. And that was the news I woke up to. I didn't expect it, but I knew there was a possibility with the fact that there's a pandemic going on in the United States that it may affect someone that I'm close to, right? And I just pray that my folks who are still standing stay strong and protect themselves. Can't control it, can't go back and make it happen, but I can hope and I can pray from here, and I can be faithful, mentally strong enough to not get drowned or to not drown myself in doubt or to drown myself in fear, because we are still here. We have to appreciate what we have. Think about those things for a minute, man. Are you truly appreciating what we have and where we are and what you've already overcome in your life? Where you already are. Look at it right here. When I started this place, we already had to wear the masks. When I officially started on this station, we're already wearing masks. I think my first live segment was with a mask on, right? So I kind of got used to it. And it was like a breath of fresh air when I got to speak without it for a few months, right? And then it was back to it. But I practiced it. I'm used to it. It's built in now. I know the routine, right? I know how to respond to it. How to work around it, how to angle myself with the microphone. And that's because things have happened in the past that prepared me for this. And when you don't prepare yourself for situations, when you don't practice scenarios, when you don't put yourself in spots to challenge yourself, you kind of find to learn that you don't have those muscles that you need to champion those things. You don't have those muscles built, or those because you got all that atrophy in those emotional muscles. So when things happen, it's hard to bear, or it's hard to deal with, or you don't know what to do. You don't know who to reach out to, who to speak with. It's all important, guys. And I learned that more than ever this past week, and it was a quick reminder how important connections are. It was a quick reminder how important having a social connection with people are, having communication is. It's a quick reminder of how to take a step back and breathe. Because sometimes we don't. We just act. We respond. But if you take a step back before you respond and think about, how do I move forward with this? Do I just drown myself in fear and scare and just, respond verbally? No, think about what you say and what the other person might need from you. Not just in these situations I mentioned today, but just in general. When you're at work, when you're dealing with people, think, pause. Before you let it come out your mouth, before you start reacting, what response is needed for that situation? So for my family back in the U.S. right now that have dealt with this since the pandemic, and especially this past week, to my mentor, you know who you are. I won't say your name on the air. You're off social media so you can take care of your family. But I am going to tell you this. You're loved. Even from here in Okinawa, I send my love. I know you're going to watch this later. And my strength, my heart, anything I can send virtually, I send to you and your family right now from Okinawa, Japan. This first segment is dedicated to my mentor and his family for their loss this week. Second segment, getting into it. What's going to talk about? They want to drag. This is positive vibes, right? This is a positive vibes. YOLO, you only live once. False. The truth is, you live every day. You only die once. So when we come back, we're going to talk about different ways to actually get out there and live, right? How to open your eyes and realize that tomorrow and today is a blessing. Tomorrow is another blessing. And every day is a new chapter, a new page in your book to write. Pick up the pen. Write something beautiful. The phrase is, hey, if you got a story to tell, make it a beautiful one. Make it worth reading. Make it something that everybody wants to talk about, right? Everybody wants to emulate, dream about. Make your life worth living, because you have so much living to do. Not to limit yourself, not to put yourself in a corner and think this is it. No, think what's next. And that's what we're going to talk about in segment number 2. And then we're going to come back and talk about, of course, the Air Force Wounded Warriors Wellness and Resiliency Group and what we talked about this morning. I'm so excited to share some of this development with you guys. So 78.6 FM. This is Positive Vibes with Winsome. Today is the second week or first week in February. Talk to you right after this message. Thank you. 78.6, 78.6 FM Yomaton. This is Positive Vibes with Winsome. We're back again for the next segment. So, hey, without saying for the next segment, bad habit practicing. Check this out. We're going to talk about Statement Day. I've touched on this before. Statement Day. When you wake up and you say, you know what? Today's going to be different. Today, the person I chose to be, the person who I'm going to be, is going to be different. You know why? Because I control that. Because I tell myself who I choose to be today. No one can tell me who I can be. No one can tell me how I'm going to respond to situations. No one can tell me nothing except myself. And you know, when you make that statement, I remember telling you guys a story a few months back, but when you make that statement and you wake up and you say, today's going to be different. Today's going to be different because I'm going to be different. I'm going to approach situations different. I'm going to look at different perspectives. I'm going to not just react. I'm going to think about my response. I'm going to look at the other end of it. I'm going to try to be emotionally intelligent when it comes to situations. These are all those things that you can do. And it doesn't have everybody's always thinking at work. No, guess what? At home. When you're somewhere in the grocery store, shopping, talking to people, you won't know yourself until you practice these things. You got to make it a part of your daily actions, your daily mindset. At work, when we were talking about one of our classes, one of the guys there was nothing I can say because his experiences on this island have been negative, every one of them. There was absolutely nothing I can say to change up his experience. And it's fact, his viewpoint, his perspective, his Okinawa for him is different than it is for me. And so all I can tell him, I said, sir, the little things you're pointing out, I can always counter and tell you something beautiful about it. But that's because the difference is you're dwelling on negative and I'm looking for the good, right? Statement Day. When you wake up and your whole goal is to avoid a negative mindset, not letting yourself get carried into negativity, when you choose to switch those things that you know pull you in that direction, avoid those things, right? And you take your power back and you're saying no. Somebody's come with that negative energy, walk away. There's a conversation you have to listen to, don't dwell on it, right? There's little things that you can do to maintain a positive mindset, positive mind. And there's going to be things that happen to test you. There's going to be things that happen to try and throw you off course. There's going to be people, places, and things that will happen that may be out of your control. But when you regroup and when you bring yourself back, another thing we brought up this week is having that accountability buddy, right? Just like my mentor who texted me. Having somebody who's checking and making sure that you are the person that you're set out to be, that you've set out to be. That person that's going to pull you back when you didn't go to the gym and say, dude, what happened? Right? When you fall off your diet, hey, man, what you doing eating that burger? Right? That person is going to say, hey, you said you was going to drink that whole gallon of water today. You've only taken like a couple of sips. Right? Speaking of which, I got a water back here I need to drink. But who's your accountability buddy? We talked about connections a little bit earlier, so I'm going to mention that again. Who is the person that you trust that's going to help you reach your goal, push you in that direction when you kind of start slowing up? You heard the phrase, don't change your goal. Just change your path. Some things are going to knock you off. Maybe you can't go to the gym every single day, but can you make it 3 times a week? Can you make it 5 times a week? Shoot, can you make it 2 times a week and then try to work up from there? Those little things in your life that you've tweaked to be better. Who's helping you to make sure that you're staying on course? Who has your back? And I know it seems like sometimes, especially right now in the climate, right, that it's hard to find someone because everybody's got their own storylines. It doesn't have to be just one person. And I'm a living proof. I categorize friends. It's funny, right? I'm going to tell you that again. I have friends in different categories. I have a gym buddy, right? He knows who he is. Hey, man, if you see me slipping, I need you to say something. I have a work buddy. I tell her every morning, hey, I need to drink this much water every day, right? Make sure I get out of here for lunch, man, and I'll make sure you get out of here for lunch, right? Home, hey, always have something. It doesn't matter if you have more than one person in the different areas of your life that you're trying to make yourself the best version of you. And you can also have their back, right? So I told you I was going to talk about making the best effort, trying to go for you. It's not about you only live once. It's about you live every day. Make your life worth living. Make these chapters worth telling. You can't, okay, Cully, Winsome, we can't travel right now, but you can dream. And you can actually write out plans for when those gates do open back up that you can travel. And in different areas, I've seen people make magic happen. You can't go out and do the things you used to. So how have you adapted? How are other people adapting to what they do have? We get so wrapped up and caught up in what we can't do that we're not paying attention to what we can do. In my job, we have these things that drop, right? I ain't going to say the name of it because give up some info. But we have these things that drop that outline exactly what we can and can't do based on certain restrictions. A lot of people get caught up, can't do this, I can't. Man, we can't do nothing, right? Well, what about the person that's looking at that differently? Okay, so I can't do these things, but bam, I can still do A, B, C, D, and E. What about that person? It's mindset. You hear people say things all the time like the glass half full, right? It's that person that's looking at the fact that, hey, the glass might be empty, but I still got a glass. I still got some water in it. Think about that. It's not about being half full or half empty. That person's just happy that there's water in it because they're thirsty. That's a mindset thing, man. And it's incredible because you think that the smartest person in the world can tell you anything. But I'm going to tell you something that I learned over the last couple of years, over the last 4 years to be exact. Nobody cares what you know until they know that you care. Let me say that again because you're going to be able to look this up. I think it was Theodore Roosevelt that said this, if I'm not mistaken. Nobody cares what you know until they know that you care. And I've dedicated the last 4 years of my life to caring for people. Has been anything else. Has been about nothing else. Because I know what I put out into the world is what's coming back into my life. And it's been nothing but positive vibes. And then when I see positive people, like one of my guests next week, I'm really excited about. I heard this person speak. And it's been years since someone had moved me like that I actually heard them speak about what we talk about every week. And I was like, whoa, that's a guy I want to have a conversation with. That's someone I can have many conversations with. And that's that vibe you get from people. You see, when you live and you're looking for life, you look for those things in others. You look for the person who is living. There's people all around this island doing things. You don't think I'm looking and paying attention to what people are still able to do. And you've heard this before too. It doesn't matter where you are, start there. It doesn't matter what you're doing, start now. Everybody's asking questions. How do I? Where do I? Start. Procrastination is a killer of dreams and a killer of lives. Everybody's always thinks they got more time. But if nothing else, if you haven't learned anything since 2020, tomorrow is not promised to everybody. So you have to live. You got to take each day like you're not going to get another one. You got to appreciate what you do have in front of you. Appreciate the fact that you can, as I'm looking out the window right now, see the beautiful skies around you. When you're not wearing a mask and when you have an opportunity to take this bad boy off, breathe in that fresh air. Feel the sun on you. Even when it rains, I was telling one of the classes last week, even the rain is beautiful to me. Think about that. People, it's ugly outside, it's raining. No, let me tell you something. It's a beautiful day. It's just wet outside. Let me go out there and get the rain on me. Let me feel it. It's different. It's an appreciation of something different. And it's a perspective. It's a viewpoint. It's something different. Everybody wants to stay inside. I'm like a kid at heart, man. I used to love going outside and playing in the rain. And I'm old now. I can't go out and play like I used to. But I can go out there and still feel it. And it's something that it does to my spirit. It reminds me of when I used to live like a child, when my mind was playful, when I can do things that I can't do anymore physically. And I won't even say can't do, that I haven't attempted to prevent injury, right? But think about those things, man. Remember the good days. Live. So I talked about vibes while we were teaching some classes this week. Vibes are so important. And you think about how you start your day off, right? When you're talking about appreciating the next day that you have, or you're going to the gym, we talked about appreciating our bodies, appreciating our minds, appreciating the fact that you don't control the way your blood flows, but it does. You don't control your heartbeat, it just beats. You don't control the way your mind thinks, it does. It's a machine, it's a gift. It's something that you were given that you know, I'm listening to all these people passing away, and I'm watching, and I'm like, my life is a gift. I still have a gift. Even if today is the last day, I want to live it like there's not going to be another one. I want to give. And like I always tell you, you can choose to be anything in this world. That's the beauty of 2021. You can be anything you set your mind to. Why not be kind? Why not give back? Why not dedicate every day to bring your heart? Every day. And you see, that's where I wish everyone was on March 11th, 2020. It's where it started. Where we could have, a lot of things could have been different. We weren't taking this so serious. We weren't taking it serious because the numbers weren't there, right? We didn't think we were affected. And now we see it. The reality is here. I'm wearing a mask as a reminder. The reality is right in front of us. And I'm telling you, my friends, if you're listening to this, live. Appreciate what you have. If you got your kids around you, look at them right now and be grateful and thankful that your next generation, your next chapter, that next version of you is right there. Your wife, your husband, your very first accountability buddies. Be grateful and thankful for them. Give them a hug. Tell them you love them for no reason. It may be weird to them, but it's not to you. Because there's something in your heart that's called gratitude. It's all grateful for now and what you have and being mindful in today. I appreciate everything I have. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Think about that when you're moving through the rest of your day today, and take that with you tomorrow when you wake up and you're blessed with another day. We'll talk to you right after this break. Thank you. '78.6 FM. This is Positive Vibes with Winsome. Of course, we're going to wrap it up with our segment dedicated to the Air Force Wounded Warrior Wellness and Resiliency Team. That is the crew. That is the family. Some very incredible people that are running that show right now, man. Family members of mine. Each and every one of them are beautiful people. One of the things we started this week was the Fitness Roundtable, right? The Air Force Wounded Warrior Fitness Roundtable. Beautiful opportunity to take the questions from the Wounded Warriors. We have 4 from the Wounded Warriors, and we answer them, man. It range from a question about how to get rid of the baby stomach after you have a child. We had a question about macros, right? Food meal planning. It was really cool, man. And on this team, we have personal trainers, we got professional bodybuilders, we got competitors, we have a dietitian, and then you got me just organizing, making sure that everybody's talking and there's no lapse, right? There's nothing missing. And not to negate my role, I love the opportunity to speak to these folks and their passion for fitness, wellness, and the fact that they care so deeply about the others that are listening and watching and paying attention to some of the answers, how compassionate the thought processes were before we got on the air and live with the Wounded Warriors. It was amazing to be a part of that today. I didn't want anything but to sit back and just make sure that the system was working, computer was moving, and we were live, right? Because we had some issues getting live at first. But it was a beautiful thing to watch, man, to hear them bounce the topics off of each other. We're talking about the New Year's boost, right? How to stay motivated. After that, you got that boost to get back in the gym, and then you just hit that wall. Bam. How do you get past that wall? So we spoke to that. So if you're military or prior military, the Air Force Wounded Warrior Wellness and Resiliency Team, we had some great things happen recently, man. That was our first try. We did a dry run a few weeks ago just to make sure that we had the team together. And then today we went live and we spoke to the group. We also had an interview. If you guys, I don't know if I spoke on it last week, but Richard Citrone, the stuntman, right? So if you look at, or stunt performer and actor, if you look at movies like Underworld, Marvel versus DC, which is Batman versus Superman, Shazam. I mean, you name anything that has action in it. He was in The Watchmen. This man is amazing. He was actually trained by one of Bruce Lee's proteges. So when you see him move, he's so fast and fluid. Amazing things that we're doing with the Air Force Wellness and Resiliency Group. And I'm blessed to be a part of that team, man. Blessed to have the opportunity to speak with some amazing people and actually interact with the Warriors and to have the Warriors actually get this information, right, to be able to teach and learn with them. It's just a beautiful experience. I've only been a part of this group for a little while now, and being able to contribute and the love, the outpour, just the whole vibe of that group is amazing. So again, the Air Force Wounded Warrior Wellness and Resiliency Team. If you haven't already went to the page and try to log in and become a part of that group, do so, man. We'll check you out and make sure if you meet the parameters, you come in a group. And we got some great things coming. Every month, we'll take the questions from the group and we'll speak on them as a group first, and then we'll come back and present our answers every month. We got the fitness roundtable. It's like a panel, right? I'll throw the question out there. The team just dissects the question and breaks it down and spits it out in a way that makes sense, right? It's not scientific. It doesn't sound like it's something that I got to ride in a board and do a solution to. No, it's really smooth. I was really amazed, if I could say that word. The chemistry. We didn't get to do this a bunch of times. It's not like we've been doing this together forever, but the chemistry today, when you see a team working together for that purpose, when you see them bring their heart, right? I was just truly, I was humbled. Almost brought tears to my eyes, man, watching the video replay, because it started with an idea and information we want to share. That word wellness means a lot. Resilience, we talk about a lot on this station, but the wellness part of it, what goes into that? How do you take care of yourself, man? Like I spoke to a minute ago, making sure you're bringing your heart to the table, making sure that you realize you only get one body. You can't junk this bad boy in and trade it in. You only get one. We talked about what you put into your body, right? The different ways to take care of yourself. One thing we spoke on this week was sleep hygiene, not in the group, but in one of my classes, which we probably bring up next time. All of that plays a role into your wellness and how you take care of yourself, man. One of the blessings and gifts that also came out of that, we had one of our own warrior, Christian Perryman, who shared their story with the group. So he came and told us about, his journey as a wounded warrior and how, throughout the warrior games and competing in Invictus, he literally was told he was never going to be able to run again, let alone walk well again, right? And this dude overcame all the doubt. He overcame all the odds to compete, medal in numerous events, the Olympic trials, Paralympic trials. I mean, his story, just the few minutes he gave us. And if I haven't got a chance to tell you, man, thank you. Because I know you didn't have to give us your time, but thank you for giving us your time. But to think that someone is just a living example that it's not what happened to you, it's what you do next. And I think that's one of those messages that we don't use and say enough. We're all going to go through things, some horrific things. And some of us are going to fall pretty hard off of whatever we've been climbing to get to, whatever ladder. He told a story because I coached him. We actually played football together. I coached and played with him. And I remember how fast he was and how full of life he was. And I also remember getting that phone call as his coach and as his friend. And when everyone was telling me that he was in the hospital, wasn't looking good, how bad the wreck was. But this is before he became a wounded warrior, of course. And I remember I was devastated. I was like, whoa. My heart broke because that's for us. That was our little brother. And so we all rallied around him, man. We saw him in passing, went and checked on him. And he fought. Let me tell you something, man. He fought. He told a story in this group. Once again, dedicating this to the Air Force Wounded Warrior Wellness and Resiliency Team. He fought. And that's one of those things that we take for granted is you have that strength inside of you. You just have to channel that strength. You've already survived your worst days. And all of those bad days, those are all pieces of the puzzle to help you navigate through the worst and whatever's coming. So he fought. I remember him saying his messed up foot, the arthritis that developed, and how he wasn't supposed to be running, and how he seen this 80-something-year-old man running on the track one day. And in his mind, it was a challenge, right? Hey, if this guy can do it, I can do it. And he started challenging himself, and he started getting stronger. He went through a procedure that was one of those brand new procedures. He took the chance because this was at least giving him an opportunity to do something different. He may never run the same. He may never play football again. But guess what? His path may have changed, but his goal to be an athlete didn't. Somebody who was a high school athlete, swimmer, track, football, for someone to tell you that you can never do those things again is heartbreaking. So to see him fight back and to come back and overall overcome and medal in events is just an amazing story. So he shared that with us to end, of course, our panel today, the Fitness Roundtable. So, guys, this is just small stories a story compared to the amount of people that are doing amazing things with the Wounded Warrior program. And this is a small example of how powerful that program is. It gives people a second chance, right? And think about it. Some people, when they go through things, they've never felt that pain before, never felt those challenges before, never had to flex those muscles before. So it's devastating. So for an organization, a group, and people to care and to help you build those muscles up, and it may not be the same muscles. Like Christian shared with us, he had to learn new muscles. He had to learn a new way to run. I love saying that, man, because it was a beautiful story. He had to learn a new way to run, a different way to be an athlete. He didn't change his goal. He changed his path. He had to fight differently. He had to build different muscles up. He had to train differently. He had to create new bonds, new connections with people. He had to grow differently. He had to get out of his own head because of all the self-doubt, all the denial of being able to do anything, everything that was keeping him from doing something amazing. So, Christian, I'm proud of you, man. Thank you for sharing your story today. That was probably for me as excited as I was to get the roundtable up and running and live today. That truly was what I walked away with as being the most powerful point. Because you are showing the world that just because you fall doesn't mean you can't get back up. Just because you fall, what does the saying go? Try to land on your back. Because if you can look up, you can get up. And we all have it. We all have those muscles. They're just atrophied. Some of us hadn't had to flex them, but guess what? When it's time, and when you have someone that's going to help you train them, like the Wounded Warriors group does, they help you train those muscles. They help you build up that foundation. Some people never had to stand on those legs, but they help you mentally, physically, socially, spiritually build yourself back up so that you are strong for whatever happens next. You're strong for whatever you're going through. You're stronger to deal with it, cope with it, to understand it, see it differently. You have a different power. You have a different energy, and you have a different approach, connection, support. Y'all hear me? You have a different support system. You have a different group that's rallying around you. And that is what the Air Force Wounded Warriors Wellness and Resiliency, that is what the Air Force Wounded Warrior Team does for people. A second chance. When times it feels like there's nothing that you can do, there's nothing left, there's so much more. You have to look at your life differently, because it's not always where you've been that determines where you're going. You do. You write those pages. It's your book. It's your story. You can still, even though it may be different than you originally visioned it to be, you can still write some beautiful pages. So I tell you this. We started off debunking that old whole thing, YOLO, right? It's not about you only live once. You only die once. You live every single day. So make every day worth living. Go out there when you wake up, put your feet down, remember what you're doing. And someone mentioned it today and I loved it. He said, when you feel like quitting, remember why you started, whatever journey it is. And if you have to change paths, you stay with the same goal. And if your goal changes, say it's a bigger goal, greater goal, different goal, it's still a goal, because we have different ones in life. Don't stop moving forward. Don't stop pushing to go towards it. Whatever you do, like Martin said, and you know I'm going to mention it because you know I love the phrase, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving forward. You are blessed, you are loved, you are appreciated, and there is absolutely nothing you can do about that. This is Positive Vibes with Winsome, 78.6 FM. Next week, we have a guest on here. I'm not going to announce it yet. Very special guest. Someone who truly, when I heard them speak, like I mentioned before, I couldn't wait to get him on the air. And so you guys can hear some of his powerful words. It was amazing to listen to, and probably one of those times when I needed to hear it most. Spoke to my folks, my team. I had them come talk after that. I look forward to talking to each and every one of you, whoever's listening next week. Again, you're loved, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Positive Vibes, signing off.